This is why you're still not where you want to be. I want to begin with a question that I have asked hundreds of men across decades of research into the nature of human achievement. Why do some men rise? Not the men who started with advantages. Not the men who were handed opportunity on a silver platter by virtue of their family name or their inherited wealth. I am talking about the men who started with nothing, or less than nothing, and built something that the world had to reckon with. The men who rose from circumstances that should have, by any reasonable calculation, kept them exactly where they were. Why did they rise when so many others, starting from similar or even better positions, stayed exactly where they were? I spent 2 decades looking for the answer to that question. I sat across from more than 500 of the most accomplished men of my era. I studied their habits, their methods, their thinking, their character. I looked for the common thread, the one thing that appeared, without exception, in every life of genuine, enduring achievement. I found it. And it was not what most people expected. It was not brilliance. It was not luck. It was not the right connections or the right timing or the mysterious favor of circumstances. It was something far more available than any of those things, and far more consistently practiced by the men who built the most remarkable lives. It was the habit of doing more than they were paid to do, every single time, in every context, at every level of their development, whether anyone was watching or not, whether they were being compensated for it or not, whether it was acknowledged or not. They did more, and over time, sometimes slowly, sometimes with a speed that astonished everyone around them. The world compensated them for it in ways that went far beyond any immediate transaction. This is the law of going the extra mile. And it is one of the most reliable, most consistently proven, most universally applicable principles in the entire system of success that I have devoted my life to studying and teaching. I am going to explain it to you today with complete precision, not as a vague encouragement to work harder, as a specific, mechanistically understood principle that, when applied consistently, produces predictable results. Results that look like luck from the outside, but are the natural and inevitable consequence of a law as reliable as the law of gravity. Let me tell you about Andrew Carnegie. When Carnegie was a young man, a boy really, not yet in his teens, he arrived in America from Scotland with his family. They had nothing. Less than nothing, by the standards of the time and place. They were poor immigrants in a country that had not yet learned to be kind to poor immigrants. Carnegie got a job as a messenger boy. His pay was almost nothing. His hours were long. His responsibilities, by any conventional measure, were small. But Carnegie did something that the other messenger boys did not do. He memorized the streets of Pittsburgh, not because he was paid to, not because his employer asked him to, not because there was any immediate reward for doing it. He did it because he decided, somewhere in the mind of that young boy, that if he was going to be a messenger, he was going to be the best messenger that anyone had ever seen. And the best messenger would know every street, every building, every business in the city, without having to look it up. He memorized the names and faces of the businessmen he delivered messages to. He learned their schedules, their preferences, their patterns. He noticed things and remembered things that no one had told him to notice or remember. He showed up earlier than he was required to. He stayed later than anyone asked him to stay. He went, consistently and deliberately, the extra mile. Within a short time, Carnegie was the most valued messenger in the company. When opportunities arose, promotions, new responsibilities, access to people and information that other boys his age never encountered, they came to Carnegie first, not by accident, because he had made himself invaluable through a consistent pattern of giving more than he was being paid to give. That pattern never left him. As his responsibilities grew, as the stakes increased, as the enterprise became something that employed thousands of men and generated fortunes that most people of his era could not even imagine, Carnegie continued to apply the same principle. Give more than you are asked to give. Do more than you are required to do. Create more value than you are being compensated for. And the world, which is not as blind as the cynical man believes, continued to compensate him for it. Not always immediately, not always in the specific form he might have expected, but reliably, consistently, and ultimately beyond anything that would have been possible had he simply done what was required and nothing more. Now let me explain why this principle works. Not just that it works, but the specific mechanisms through which it operates. Because understanding the mechanism is what allows you to apply the principle with genuine intelligence rather than simply grinding yourself down with indiscriminate overwork. The first mechanism is what I call the law of increasing returns. When you consistently deliver more value than you are being paid for, you create an imbalance. The world has received more from you than it has given back. And this imbalance in the economics of human relationships and human enterprise creates pressure toward correction. Most people think of fair exchange as the ideal. They aim to give exactly what they are paid for, no more, no less. This is the attitude of the person who sees employment as a transaction and nothing more. I give you this much effort. You give me this much money. We are even. But the person who gives more than they receive does not settle for even. They create an ongoing imbalance in their favor, not in the petty sense of getting something for nothing, but in the profound sense of having established themselves as someone who produces more value than they consume. And the world, over time, corrects this imbalance through opportunity, promotion, partnership, recognition, and ultimately through compensation that bears no resemblance to what the per-hour transaction would have produced. Carnegie did not become wealthy because someone calculated his hourly worth and paid him accordingly. He became wealthy because he had, through decades of giving more than he received, established himself as someone whose contribution was so far beyond any simple calculation of hours and tasks that conventional compensation structures could not contain it. The only way the world could correct the imbalance he had created was by making him a partner, an owner, a man whose stake in the enterprise reflected the actual magnitude of his contribution. This is how going the extra mile creates wealth that no amount of hard bargaining for fair wages can ever produce. The second mechanism is reputation. In the economy of human achievement, which is, at its core, an economy of trust, your reputation is your most valuable asset, more valuable than your skills, more valuable than your knowledge, more valuable than your credentials or your connections or your current resources. Because your reputation determines what opportunities are offered to you. It determines who wants to work with you, who wants to invest in you, who wants to partner with you, who wants to recommend you when significant opportunities arise. And it determines all of these things before you ever walk into a room, before you have the chance to demonstrate your capabilities in the moment. The habit of going the extra mile builds a specific kind of reputation, not merely the reputation of being hardworking, though that is part of it. The reputation of being someone who can be trusted to give more than the situation requires. Someone who does not calculate the minimum and deliver it, but who finds the maximum and offers it. Someone whose presence in any endeavor means that endeavor will receive more than it asked for, and probably more than it expected. This reputation, once established, becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. The better opportunities you attract through your reputation allow you to demonstrate your capabilities at a higher level, which builds your reputation further, which attracts still better opportunities. The cycle compounds over time in ways that make the initial investment, the extra effort you put in when it was not required and not rewarded, look like the most intelligent investment you ever made. The third mechanism is mastery. Every time you do more than is required, you are practicing. You are developing capabilities, skills, knowledge, judgment, relationships that will serve you at every subsequent level of your development. The extra mile is not just a moral commitment or a strategic calculation. It is a training program. The person who consistently does more than required becomes more capable than the person who does only what is required. Not as a matter of character, but as a matter of simple accumulation. More practice produces more capability. More capability produces better results. Better results produce larger opportunities. Larger opportunities allow the pattern to compound. This is why the habit of going the extra mile is most important, not when the stakes are high, but when the stakes are low. The message boy who memorizes the streets of Pittsburgh when no one is watching is not just doing a good job. He is building the habit, the capability, and the reputation that will compound over decades into something that no one could have predicted from the outside. I want to address something directly because I have heard this objection many times from many men. They say, if I give more than I am paid for, I am being taken advantage of. My employer gets more value from me than they compensate me for. I am enriching them at my own expense. This objection rests on a fundamental misunderstanding of how the principle operates and what its purpose actually is. Going the extra mile is not primarily a gift to your employer. It is an investment in yourself, in your reputation, in your capabilities, in the quality of opportunities that will become available to you, in the kind of man you are training yourself to become through consistent practice of a principle that always produces returns far greater than the immediate cost. The man who refuses to go the extra mile because he is not being paid for the extra effort will remain exactly where he is. He will always be in the position of negotiating for fair wages, because fair wages are all that his pattern of performance entitles him to. He will never create the imbalance, the surplus of value given over value received, that compels the world to compensate him in ways that go beyond any wage negotiation. And there is another dimension to this that I want to state plainly. The man who goes the extra mile is rarely in a position where someone else's unwillingness to compensate him fairly can limit his trajectory for long. Because the extra mile builds something that cannot be taken away: the reputation, the capability, the relationships, the habit of excellence that will create opportunities regardless of any particular employer's willingness to recognize and reward them. If you are consistently giving more than you are being compensated for, and your current situation is not recognizing it, the world will, in one form or another, through a better opportunity, through a competitor who recognizes what your current employer is missing, through the accumulated capability that allows you to build something of your own. The world does not permanently undervalue genuine, consistent, visible excellence. It cannot, because the market for genuine excellence is always active and the supply is always short. Go the extra mile. Trust the mechanism. And do not worry about whether the person immediately in front of you is capable of recognizing what you are doing. The world is larger than any single employer or any single context. And the world rewards consistent excellence over time with a reliability that should give every serious man reason for genuine confidence. Let me talk about what going the extra mile actually looks like in practice. Because it is easy to misunderstand this principle as a call to simple overwork, to grinding yourself down with indiscriminate effort in every direction simultaneously. That is not what I mean, and it is not what the principle requires. Going the extra mile is not about doing more of everything. It is about doing more of the right things, the things that create the most value for the people you are serving, and that build the most valuable capabilities in yourself. The most effective practitioners of this principle are not the ones who stay latest at the office or who say yes to every request. They are the ones who develop an acute sense of where the extra effort creates the most value, and who direct their additional contribution specifically and intelligently toward those places. Carnegie did not simply work more hours than other boys. He invested his additional effort in the specific capabilities, street knowledge, face recognition, pattern observation, that made him the most valuable messenger in the company. He was strategic about his extra effort even when he was not conscious of the strategy. He instinctively directed his additional contribution toward what created the most value in his specific context. This is the mature practice of the principle. Know your context. Know what is most valued in it. Know what creates the most lasting advantage for the people you serve and for your own development, and direct your extra effort there. The extra mile is not random additional effort. It is targeted, intelligent, value-creating effort that goes beyond what was asked, because you understand the situation well enough to know what it actually needs, and you have the commitment to provide it. I also want to talk about the extra mile in the context of how you treat people, because this principle extends beyond the domain of professional effort and into every dimension of human relationship. The person who consistently does more than others expect in their relationships, who shows up when it is inconvenient, who remembers what matters to the people they care about, who delivers on commitments when keeping them has become difficult, who offers support before it is asked for, builds a quality of relationship that the person who calculates the minimum and delivers it never experiences. These relationships, built through the consistent practice of relational extra miles, become over time one of the most powerful assets any person can possess, not because of what they can extract from them, but because of the quality of support, perspective, opportunity, and genuine human connection they provide. The extra mile in human relationship also builds something in the person who practices it, a quality of character, of genuine care, of attention to others that shows in every interaction and that people recognize and respond to in ways they cannot always articulate. The person who consistently goes the extra mile for others develops a presence, a quality of engagement that is rare and that draws people and opportunity toward them as surely as any professional achievement. There is one more dimension of this principle that I want to make sure I address before we close. Going the extra mile requires faith, not the blind faith of ignoring reality, but the earned faith of understanding how the mechanism works and trusting it to operate, even when the immediate evidence of its operation is not yet visible. Because the returns from going the extra mile are rarely immediate. The messenger boy who memorizes the streets of Pittsburgh does not get a raise the next day. The employee who consistently delivers more than required does not see it reflected in their paycheck the following Friday. The person who goes the extra mile in their relationships does not receive immediate, measurable compensation for the additional care they invest. The mechanism operates over time. The reputation builds slowly. The capabilities accumulate gradually. The opportunities that the extra mile creates appear not in the moment of the extra effort, but weeks, months, sometimes years later, as the accumulated effect of a consistent pattern finally manifests in a form that the world can recognize and reward. This is why so many people abandon the principle before it produces its results. They go the extra mile for a while. They do not see immediate reward. They conclude that the principle does not work, or that it works for other people but not for them. And they return to the calculating, minimum delivery approach that guarantees they will never create the surplus of value that the mechanism requires. Do not be that person. Trust the mechanism, not blindly. Understand it as I have explained it to you today. But once you understand it, trust it with the confidence that understanding earns. Go the extra mile consistently, intelligently, and with the patient faith of a person who knows how the law operates and is willing to give it the time it requires to produce its results. Because it will produce them, not as a matter of hope, as a matter of law. I want to close with a question. In your life right now, in whatever context you are currently operating, whatever role you are currently filling, whatever relationships you are currently in, where is the extra mile available to you? Not in every direction simultaneously, not as a vague commitment to work harder, but specifically, concretely. Where is the place where an additional, targeted, intelligent contribution of effort and care would create the most value for the people you serve and for your own development? Find that place and begin going there, not occasionally, not when it is convenient, consistently, as a habit so deeply embedded that it requires less conscious effort over time, because you have practiced it into the automatic operating system of your character. The man who has made this habit part of who he is no longer asks whether he should go the extra mile. He simply goes, because that is what he does, because that is who he is. And the world, reliably, consistently, inevitably, treats him accordingly.